Okay. Hooray. Bringing it up. We're live.
Yay. Hello.
Hello, everyone. And hi, Lara. We are jumping on live on Let's Raise Emotionally Intelligent Kids and across on some other places on Facebook. You may also be watching this a little bit later on YouTube because we're going to pop it up on YouTube later. I have the amazing, heartwarming, wise Lara Dawn, one of my favorite people. Hey guys, if you're jumping on the live, please say hello. Lara's here. We're going to chat about ADHD emotions, our beautiful ADHD kiddos, and us as parents dealing with, the challenges, the differences that come with having kids with ADHD. And she's got some exciting news as well that is coming up very soon that we want to spread far and wide. And yeah, I'm very grateful for always being able to have you on and pick your brain and share your wisdom. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. And likewise, you're one of my favorites. And I love being able to talk to you about emotional intelligence because that really is, that's at the heart of everything, truly. So thank you for sharing your wisdom and your calm.
Not all the time.
October's ADHD Awareness Month.
Yeah, tell me a bit about that. What does that mean to you? Because I know, share a bit about you and your family and your work, because I know we've got, lots of different people sort of tuning in and listening. So give us a bit of who you are and what you do.
Okay. Well, I do have ADHD myself. Both of my kids have ADHD. And I always say it doesn't matter if there's one or two or many people in your family with ADHD. As long as one person has ADHD, your whole family has it because it impacts everybody, truly. I'm an elementary school teacher. I've been teaching for 23 years now. So I was a teacher in special ed for 10 years. I have lots of experience teaching kids with ADHD. And I'm the founder of the ADHD Village, which is an online community. And I am a parent coach. So my passion, like yours, Stephanie, is really helping parents. And when our kids have these great big emotions, it can be really challenging for the moms. And I wanted to kind of touch base with you. You work with so many families. What do you find is the most challenging things for parents when their kids are anxious or easily angered or overwhelmed? Like, how does that impact the parents?
It's one, like you said, Lara, it's one of the really big challenges I think that I see parents having in the home and as a family unit. How do I manage my kids and also my big, strong emotional outbursts, like the frustration that builds into the anger and we say and do things that we regret? What do we do in those moments? How do I stop doing that is something that parents ask, like, how do we manage our triggers so that we're not getting to that point of raising our voice and, yelling to be heard or out of frustration, those knee-jerk reactions. I know we'll talk a bit about the amygdala hijack because I think that is so powerful. That's such a powerful piece of knowledge and information that can help parents understand why they get to that place. We all I get to that place. Like, I'm human too. We are, so how do we deal with our own emotions so that they're not, really spiking all the time? Because our kids, they don't always cooperate and they don't always listen, and we have things to do and places to be, and we don't like losing control of our sort of organized day. But I think also parents want to know how they can help their kids with their big emotions, the frustration or the disappointment or the sadness or the madness, the anger and stuff like that. How do we help our kids? Because that's really hard. That's kind of beyond them a lot of the time to know how to regulate, self-regulate, and things like that. So that's like a bit of all over the place of like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's very uncomfortable for us as parents when we see our kids so dysregulated and upset and disappointed. And I work with parents who have kids with ADHD. And Russell Barkley is one of like the world leading experts on ADHD. And his research shows that moms of kids with ADHD are more likely to feel isolated, overwhelmed, depressed, and lack confidence and self esteem in their parenting
Mhm.
because kids with ADHD have these behaviors that we in society call unacceptable. They're emotionally explosive, and it feels like we're being compared or judged by society, by peers, and that there's blame on the parents for the ADHD child's behavior. And the truth is, your child's behavior is not your fault. Parents don't cause ADHD. ADHD is not a result of poor parenting or laziness, and they're not bad kids. It's just the way it is. It is a brain difference, a neurobiological brain difference. And although parents are not the problem, they can be such a huge part of the solution.
Mm.
So, working with a coach to help you with those parenting strategies is a huge way to help support your child with ADHD. But something that really like pulls at my heart because I've been there, is the moms that just feel crappy about themselves. When I was struggling the most with my ADHD kids, I was a teacher in special education with a boatload of strategies, but I wasn't able to access the tools because I was so dysregulated and just drained and burnt out. So
Mm.
that's like my passion that's driving me to do the work that I do is I really want to support moms so they're not feeling that burnt out, overwhelmed, exhaustion, like just defeated, because how on earth, it's not fair. Mamas are humans. They deserve to be loved, and they deserve compassion and joy. And how can they possibly lead their family and take care of these children who have these big explosive behaviors if their energy is just sucked right out?
Yeah.
And that is why Stephanie and I and 33 other amazing human beings are putting together a virtual retreat for mamas called Putting Mama First. It airs in November.
Mm.
And Stephanie's session. So this is like, it's like a virtual retreat. It's like a going to the spa almost virtually. So each day for 3 days, November 7th to 9th, there's going to be a whole slew of sessions, and you just pick and choose which ones you go to. It's totally free. And in Stephanie's session, she'll be doing like an inner child healing meditation, which to me is just so fabulous, Stephanie, because as parents, we're supposed to be teaching our children all this emotional intelligence stuff. But if we weren't taught that as kids and growing up, like,
Yeah.
where do we begin? So, like, having that opportunity to go back and heal your inner child, like that, the session is magic. I'm
Mm.
so thankful that you're sharing this.
Thank you. I love doing it. And I think all of the sessions are going to be so powerful for mums to um, place back within themselves what has been missing or what has been lacking, and the compassion or the self-care and the things that we need as parents. I know we often use that filling our own cup metaphor, but as you just said a minute ago, we can't give what we don't have. And so if we don't know, or if we never learned how to manage our own emotional fluctuations, which happen not only day to day, but moment to moment. Like an hour ago, I could be a beautifully patient, tolerant, compassionate parent, help my kids get off to school, and despite the complaining or the I don't want to go or the I don't know where my books are. And then some things happen, in my physiology and in my mind and in my memories and my emotional state. And maybe I get a stressful phone call, or maybe I think, oh my God, I didn't prepare for that thing at work, or I haven't had my breakfast, I didn't have time. And so I fluctuate my physiology. And then even an hour later, or a period of time later, I'm snappy and cranky and frustrated, and I'm not managing my emotions. And, you know, to have the awareness of when that's fluctuating and when things are built. I talk about when our volcano is building, you know, when we don't have that awareness, we snap and we have the amygdala hijack, which we'll talk about. You know, we say and do things that we think, oh, that's not how I wanted to respond, or that's not, you know, unhelpful. So, you know, when we don't have that awareness and the intentionality behind managing how we are flowing throughout the day, we can't teach that to our kids, and we can't impart a bit of that wisdom, and that we can't do that modeling, and we can't teach them some of the scripts of how to explain, you know, their feelings, or notice their feelings, and ask for help and express when they're getting frustrated. So I love, you know, we're so on the same page with that stuff. And I love that your retreat is coming worldwide, so that mums can, you know, put themselves first, putting mama first, like put ourselves first, so that we are giving to ourselves what we often give to everyone else but us. So
So if you haven't registered yet, or it's the first time you're hearing, I invite you to type in www.puttingmamafirst.com and reserve your free seat. Maybe we'll talk more about it at the end. And also towards the end, we want to give you 3 strategies that can help you in the moment if you're feeling overwhelmed. So I love, Stephanie, how you explained how as an adult, our emotions can fluctuate throughout the day. This is true for kids too, especially kids with ADHD. So our kiddos with ADHD, their brains are different. And one of the things that is significantly different is there's an imbalance in neurotransmitters in their brain, dopamine and adrenaline. And dopamine and adrenaline it's like the fuel for the prefrontal cortex. So the prefrontal cortex, that's the part of your brain that does all the executive functioning skills, planning, problem solving, time management, deciding whether something is socially acceptable or not. All the impulse control, all that stuff comes from this part of your brain, but they're not getting enough fuel to turn on that part of their brain. Also, kids with ADHD, individuals with ADHD, their amygdalas are hypersensitive. So we've mentioned this amygdala hijacking. So
yeah, let's explain, what's the amygdala, where is it, and why is it important that our kids with ADHD have a more sensitive, like a hypersensitive amygdala? What does that even mean?
Okay, so the amygdala, you can jump in here too, but to me, the amygdala is like this little watchdog that's on the alert all the time for danger. It's always looking for danger, and it will put you into fight, flight, or freeze mode. And the thing is, humans 1,000 years ago, the amygdala would send the alarm off that we're in danger if there was a saber-toothed tiger chasing us, or if we were about to fall off a cliff, and it would give our body this response that we were in danger and we need to respond a specific way to save our life. Well, now in modern times, our amygdala still reacts the same way to modern day stress. I'm late for a meeting. I forgot to hand in my homework. I didn't get invited to a birthday party. My teenager rolled their eyes at me. My toddler's having a temper tantrum in the store. All those things, the amygdala goes, danger, 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 and puts us into fight, flight, or freeze. So when that happens, yeah. So when that happens, I like this Dr. Daniel Siegel's model. You flip your lid. So this is like your prefrontal cortex, your thinking brain, and your limbic system, or your amygdala, like that's the part of your brain, your feeling part of your brain is what's in charge. And then when that happens, there's a switch that goes off that you can't access your prefrontal lobe, your rational thinking, when your amygdala has hijacked your brain and taken over.
Yeah. So like how crazy that we have such a primitive and protective brain that, yes, it's evolved over thousands of years, but it's still wired to protect us when there's a perceived threat. And like you said, it's no longer something that's physically threatening us. Now it can be homework, or my child's rolled their eyes or won't get in the bath. And so we have that same response, or that same knee-jerk reaction that makes us do and say things that we would not otherwise do or say when we were calm and regulated and feeling good, because those are the times when we have our prefrontal cortex kind of switched on and we're making good decisions and we're considering the impact of our actions on others. But when we flip our lid, which I love the handle, and just that saying, like, we flip our lid or we blow our top, and then, man, like, we've all said things and sworn and we think, oh, I'm not usually like that. Oh, why did I do that? Oh.
And then there's that layer of guilt, right?
Mm-hmm.
We feel guilty afterwards. We feel ashamed afterwards, which just like, just piles on the extra layer, that mom guilt. We've all yelled at our kids before. We know it's not the right thing to do. We know that with our prefrontal cortex, but when our emotions take over, and that's why we really want to work on understanding our emotions, understanding our triggers. Like, anyway, that could take us into a whole other conversation.
Yeah. I think it's really powerful just to know, for parents to understand a little bit of the neurobiology and the psychology that goes with it. Like I always say to parents, if you don't know why you're acting the way you are and why your kids are behaving the way that they are, then of course you're going to be confused, baffled, triggered, because you're thinking, why are you not just doing what I ask? Like we always get ready for school at this time, or we have to shower every night, or homework is not my choice. It needs to be, So we get really triggered when we don't understand what's really going on, which takes a little bit of psychology and a bit of the neuroscience that our parents very likely did not have because of the time that we were raised. If we were raised in the 70s or 80s and things like that, they didn't have this knowledge and this information. The research wasn't done yet. We didn't know enough about the brain. So of course we were yelled at, and we were threatened or punished or used, timeout or grounding. Like those things were kind of best practice back then. And interestingly, I've been having a conversation with a couple of my friends who are OTs, amazing. I love OTs so much. And that's occupational therapists, for people who are watching along. And we're trying to, maybe you've already got one, Lara, come up with an analogy or a metaphor that relates to how now as parents, because we have access to more knowledge and information in the research, now that we know better, we need to do better. Similarly to when one of the OTs said, remember, there was a point at which mothers were told to put whiskey on babies' gums when they were teething, and that was best practice, and to put a little bit of alcohol in their baby bottle at night to help them sleep, and like all these practices that at that time were widely accepted and propagated by probably medical professionals and things like that. And now we think, oh my God, I would never do that. And like, we know how wrong that is. So yeah, I just, I'm trying to think of like,
as you were talking, I just pictured like piling into a car without seatbelts on, like riding in the back of a station wagon, like where you could lay down. Like that was really cool. But like now, like we make sure our children have the proper seat belts and car seats and booster seats, and we would never let them pile into the car with no seatbelts on.
It reminds me of I wonder if you watched the Matilda, the movie. We love that here, and I loved it as a kid. And right at the start, when they bring Matilda home in the almost like it's not even a car seat, it's like a bassinet kind of thing, and it's sliding around the boot. And they're like, they get, I think they leave her in the car and they go inside the home. They do.
There's another thing. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we know better now, so we can do better. And just to keep in mind that we as adults lose our tempers and respond, in ways that we wouldn't favorably like to respond that way. So our kids, they're dealing with brains that are not fully developed. It takes 25 years to develop your prefrontal cortex. So you might be dealing with a 3-year-old or a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old. So their brains are not matured yet. They don't have the executive functioning skills. Then if your child has ADHD, they're 30% delayed. So you might have a 10-year-old, but socially and emotionally, they're actually functioning at a 7-year-old ability. So you might be thinking, my child is 10, they should be doing blah, blah, blah. But really, your 10-year-old, picture them as a 7-year-old and kind of shift that perspective. I think that helps.
I love that you have touched on that, because from my perspective, with any children and their development, the expectation gap that we have as parents causes such frustration, and we get triggered and we get mad, and we think you should know how to do this, or come on, like your sister doesn't behave this way. And so it's so good to know when you mentioned the 30% sort of reduction in a way. At the best of times, we need to reduce or shift our expectations and bring them in line with what our child can and can't do. Like, where do they need our help? Their behavior is telling us straight in the face, this is too hard for me. I can't do it yet. I need your help, because I'm melting down, or I'm avoiding, or I'm using hurtful language, or I'm saying, no, I'm not going to do it. All those behaviors are like, we talk about the tip of the iceberg and that whole analogy, because we've got to be able to look a little bit closer and see what's really going on with our child's behavior and with the prefrontal cortex that is so heavily underdeveloped. So that, when I'm sure you and I, when we help parents to really understand this stuff, the executive function, the brain development, the iceberg analogy, parents then start going, oh, I see why he did that. That makes sense. I saw that coming. Like, we get a lot more understanding and compassion and patience and tolerance and empathy when we see our kids do those challenging, disruptive behaviors, instead of thinking, why? Are you serious? Come on. Like, no. We go, yeah, makes sense now.
And I'm so glad that you just mentioned the compassion for our kids once we have a better understanding, because that's going to tie right into the 3 tips that we'd like to share with parents.
Yeah.
And when we understand these things, we're more likely, when we are able to shift our perspective of our kids and see, I love the quote by Stuart Shanker, see a child differently, see a different child. So when we shift our perspective, we're able to be more curious and compassionate with our children. But how often are we compassionate with ourselves? And maybe, Stephanie, you can talk about tip number 1 that we've got for parents.
Yes. I feel like it is very rare that we have compassion for ourselves. We can have it for everyone around us and our friends, our best friend, our sister-in-law, or, other parents. And we think, hey, you're human. It's okay. You're going to have those moments. For ourselves, we beat ourselves up and we think, I should have known better. I'm scarring my kids. I'm damaging them. And what kind of model am I being? So self-compassion, treating ourselves like we would a best friend, and speaking to ourselves as in the self-talk that runs through our mind, really noticing, starting to have more intentional awareness of what that stuff is, because it can be really negative. And so tuning into those thoughts that we have, like, how could you, or you're the worst mom, or look what you've done, those kind of things, tuning in and actively layering on some self-compassion there, that we all, like Kristen Neff, who's written about self-compassion and is prolific, talks about having a sense of common humanity, that we all have a brain that is wired to, you know, protect us and to flip its lid and yeah, bringing that compassion to ourselves like we would another friend, and not being so harsh on ourselves, because that doesn't serve us and it doesn't serve our kids. When we want to be able to model that so that our kids can know how to move through those mistakes and those moments where they mess up and don't do the right thing.
I think that's such an important thing, is just to be a little bit more mindful of the self-talk that we have. And 9 out of 10 of our thoughts run on automation. They're automatic. They come from our subconscious, and they're negative. So having a lot of, and the person we talk to the most is ourselves. So having a lot of negative thoughts about ourselves is normal. That's the way our brains work. But we don't have to believe those thoughts. We don't have to believe I'm a horrible mother. That thought might jump in my head, but that's when it's time to take a step back, give yourself some self-compassion. And rather than thinking I'm a horrible mother, maybe think I am a mother. Like, that's believable. I am a mother. Like, if I don't want to push it to I'm a good mother, if I'm not able to get there yet, I'm a mother who has feelings. I'm a human. I'm going to give myself the same compassion I would give my best friend. I love that. So self-compassion, that's our number 1 strategy that we'd like to share with parents today. Number 2, this is something I learned from Jennifer Colleri, and she's the author of Connected Parenting. And she has a beautiful podcast too, Connected Parenting. What she says to always do is just notice where your tongue is in your mouth. So viewers who are watching right now, notice where your tongue is in your mouth. Is it relaxed? Is it like along the bottom of your teeth? Is it pushed up to your roof of your mouth? Often it's at the roof of your mouth. What you want to do when you're noticing you're getting triggered and upset is drop your tongue down, like drop your jaw, drop your tongue. You can even put your tongue along the bottom of your teeth. And what that does is it sends a message to your gut. I can rest and digest. And then your gut's going to let your brain know, oh, it's safe to rest and digest. I don't need to be in fight, flight, or freeze mode. I am safe. So just fascinating that dropping your tongue could give your brain the message, I'm safe. My amygdala does not have to take over. I'm safe.
Yeah, that is so powerful, because I know now from just the work I've done to overcome my anxiety and stress, and like the anxiety I've had since primary school, that I have my body's sending me signals all the time of like clenched tension in the shoulders, and they rise up, and I breathe really shallow. And I also notice I get this jittery, buzzy feeling, which I didn't connect for ages, that it was the adrenaline and the cortisol, those hormones making me go being on edge. And to add the awareness, the mindfulness of where my tongue is and whether it's got that tension and is pushing up. You know, even I say when we take a breath and we mindfully, you know, take a huge full breath in and then slowly let all of that air out and drop our shoulders. Those little cues, you know, our body is so wise and has so much wisdom that we often, like, we're thinking from here up, and we're so busy and we've got so many things to do, but tuning in, and I think noticing where the tongue is, that's how simple is that, and yet really powerful as a strategy. I love that.
And that brings us right to our 3rd strategy, which is tuning into your body, which you really explained really nicely when you're having anxiety, how that feels for you. So notice, parents, when you're having any feeling, even if it's a joyful feeling or a feeling of gratitude or a feeling of calm or anxiety or nervousness or frustration, like take a moment to tune into your body and notice what it feels like for you. And Stephanie, you were mentioning, I saw you as you were talking, you were doing this.
Why? I think I do that a lot more now. I remember someone commented on a photo once I posted probably at the start of the year when I was doing a speaking engagement at a parents and carers of kids, neurodivergent kids and autistic kids and things like that. And I spoke about emotional intelligence, and I must have had my hand here for a great deal of the when I was speaking, because I share a lot of personal stories and stories about clients and things like that. And I must have had my hand here because I posted a few photos and someone said, oh, it's nice to see that you're sort of speaking from the heart and you're touching your heart. And I was like, oh, yeah, I wonder if I was connecting with my heart or settling myself and my nerves. But that is such a good tactile cue because it helps me check in how I'm feeling and I'm building to calm myself down. And you shared one where you're sort of connecting with your mind, your head, your our amygdala and things like that.
Yeah. So here's another one. So I love that, like putting your hands over the heart, even if you're doing some mindful breathing while you're doing that. And I can feel like when my heart is kind of racing or jittery, that there is something calming about that. But also I like to put my hands here and here. And for me, I mentally tell for one thing, actually try it along with me, parents, because it does feel calming, but I do push a little bit. And what I'm doing, like mentally, what I'm telling myself is I'm telling myself that my amygdala is not going to hijack my brain, and I am closing that lid. I'm not flipping my lid. I'm going to close it. My prefrontal cortex is kind of pushing down on my limbic system, and I'm engaging my conscious awareness. I'm not going to be just functioning from a subconscious or from an amygdala that's hijacked my brain. So I just kind of think about that while I push down, like I can be conscious, like I'm in the moment and my feelings are not going to take over.
And I think I'm in control. Like I'm in control of my body and my words and the way I respond. Like sometimes we feel like we're out of control or we were out of control, and I get out of control and I flip my lid. So to bring that sort of that phrase to mind, I'm in control and I'm safe and there's no reason to feel threatened or blow up. Imagine doing this or something on our heart and noticing where our tongue is sitting and how our breathing and our heart rate is going. Like this stuff, this is all what we're talking about now is interoception, which is the awareness of the sensations coming from within our body that are so full of wisdom and knowledge that are telling us something's not okay. Something's the matter. You need to take a break. This is too much. You're on overload. Reach out and ask for help. Flick the kettle on and make a cup of coffee or something. We don't hear those messages and we don't listen for them because, like I said, I feel like we're up here thinking of, or we're just in our conscious mind so much. And that often doesn't help us. It's actually doing more harm than good because we're not checking in with ourselves. So I love those 3 strategies.
Yes. And the self-compassion piece, that's going to be key in the Putting Mama First virtual retreat, reconnecting with self-love. Like how often do we take an opportunity to notice how we love ourselves? And also like reigniting that joy for motherhood. Sometimes we're so burnt out that we forget that there's joy in it too. So putting mama first, if you're resonating, like if anything that we're saying here really resonates with you, if you're feeling that mama burnt out, if you're feeling like it's a lot to deal with your kids' emotions, putting mama first is for you. It is a beautiful heart-centered event. And honestly, like every human who's participating in this, like Stephanie, they've put so much like genuine love into it's not like a summit where you watch people talking. It is a retreat. So each person offers something for you to do while you're watching. So you're engaged and you're participating. So like I had said earlier, Stephanie will be leading you through a beautiful inner child healing meditation. We have Amy Cami who will be playing the harp for you and dealing with some helping you through some mindful activities with the harp music. Anita Lee Chung will be teaching you how to give yourself a facial massage. What else? We've got womb wellness meditations. We have,
Wow.
like, there's just so many beautiful things. Art, mandala meditations, like through artwork. There's singing, there's dancing. It's beautiful, and it will be fun. So
Oh,
sometimes we're too busy to even like think about fun. So this will be fun.
yes. And is it only for parents or mums of kids with ADHD or not?
It is for every mama. And you know what? And I say mama, but I mean really it it's for anybody. Like, as a teacher, I often people say to me, "How many kids do you have?" And I'm like, "Well, 31. Like, I've got my 29 in my class and my two sons. Like, what do you mean, how many kids do I have?" So you may not have your own children. You may be in a role where you're taking care of kids. Um, yeah, so it really is, it's for anybody. And we have some men who are leading the sessions. We've got Seth Perler and Brendan Mahan who are leading sessions. So there's, there's things that I'm sure the dads would enjoy too.
Mm,
Um,
yes.
really it's for, I mean, check it out, check out the website, see if it resonates with you. Each facilitator you can click on, there's a little video and they'll tell you what their session's about. So check it out. I'd love to have you there.
Awesome. That's amazing. And it's free to attend. So the link to the Putting Mama First link is going to be in the comments on Facebook now. We're going to put it on YouTube if you're watching later. Please let us know if you are going to jump on and get a free ticket. I want to see some yeses down below. I want to see yeses in the comments. I know there's some beautiful people watching at the moment. Will you be getting a ticket? It is free. It is coming up. You have time to prepare. Not that you need to. It's next month. It's in November. You get to immerse yourself in these sessions with the experts and the specialists. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you'll be able to access them because we have the internet. And
Yes.
so
So it will be running November 7th to 9th in Canada. So it will be like early in the morning on the 7th, which will be later in the afternoon for you in Australia on the 7th. The sessions will be like each of the 3 days, new sessions will be available. But then, so it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The following weekend, we're going to replay it all again. So if you missed any sessions, you'll have the weekend then to catch up.
oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. So everything is easy. Everything is ready. There's no barriers. There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
And remind us of your beautiful ADHD Village group so that parents can also jump in there and join.
Yeah. So if you have a child with ADHD, I would love to see you in the Facebook group, the ADHD Village. It is a beautiful community of parents who are, again, parents, therapists, teachers who are raising kids with ADHD. I hop on live and offer some support. People ask questions in the group, and it's amazing because you ask a question in the group and within minutes you have all kinds of people responding,
Yeah.
and it's fabulous, it's supportive, it's free. So I'd love to have you in the ADHD Village. We have a saying, find your people, love them hard, and they're really, you can feel the love in the group, and that I'm so proud of the ADHD Village.
I can attest to that. Every time I jump in the group and I sort of see some of the questions, which, from parents or therapists, and they're such like questions that I think, oh yeah, how would you support a child with that? Or what is going on there? And what are some suggestions? The amount of beautiful, kind-hearted support and ideas and suggestions is next level. It's such a beautiful community. So, and I see your face in there so often, sharing your wisdom and your support and your little tips and strategies, which can make all the difference when you think, oh my gosh, I could try that for my son when he, in the morning before school. So jump on in there,
Yeah.
guys. We'll put the links in and get to know Lara and her community there.
Thank you. And if you're watching in my group right now, because this is also streaming into the ADHD Village, then I would invite you to join Stephanie's group, Let's Raise Emotionally Intelligent Kids.
Yeah, we have such a beautiful sort of flow between our groups and stuff that we share. We're on on the exact same line of the same page in the same book with a lot
I
of
know, it's so cool. And but totally in different places in the world, but
yes.
totally connected.
Okay, so guys, please grab a ticket to the Putting Mama First virtual retreat that is coming up. All the links are going to be in Facebook and in YouTube very soon. And yeah, let us know how you go, and let us know when you get a ticket and what you're looking forward to. So yeah, thank you guys, and thank you,
Thank
Lara.
you. Sending you all lots of love.
Thank you. See you later, guys.
Bye.